Johnny Sig and your boy Kevin Perry over here. My boy, one of my best friends in life right now, ready to bring the heat and fire about what went down in boxing over the weekend. We're going to talk about the heavyweight division. We're going to talk about the 147 landscape. We're going to talk about, hey, exhibitions gone on fire, gone wild. You know, remember that show back in the day, like Girls Gone Wild? Well, exhibition boxing matches have gone wild. We're going to cover it all for you. Kev, let's hit it.
Yes, sir. So first things first, we're gonna start off pretty good fight this will. I don't know if you could call it a good fight, but it was a good win for Dillion Whyte over Alexander Povetkin. He got his revenge, and so he really made a statement this weekend. We're gonna watch the clip.
So well, the commentator said it brilliantly. He got his redemption. He got his revenge.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. And I'm happy for Dillion Whyte. He got that victory. He's still the interim champion for the WBC. I mean, this is the guy that I think hard luck guy for somebody to be in a mandatory position for that long and still not get a title shot. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. That he's had to go through that. Just wishing the guy the best because he definitely comes to fight every time out. He's a pretty good fighter. He's been a top 10 heavyweight for quite some time. Do you think he gets a title shot soon, or do you think this Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury thing drags out? Where does Whyte go from here? You think he's going to wait around, or he's going to just keep fighting top contenders till he gets his shot? Seemed pretty content on just taking fights against opponents that he really doesn't need to take.
Well, you know, that's a great question. I'm going to answer that one in a moment. Where does Dillion Whyte go next? I will say this. He is a strong puncher. He only has 2 losses, you know, and he lost to very good fighters. And he actually did in Povetkin, you know, earlier than Povetkin did him in the first fight. This was a rematch. And then, so therefore, Povetkin stopped him in the knockout of the year, probably in 2020, in 5 rounds. You know, Whyte got this done in 4, and he looked very good. He made the adjustments. Like, let's face facts about heavyweight boxing, guys. In heavyweight boxing, anything could happen at any time. Like, one punch and you're done. Like, this isn't like, you know, not to crap on welterweights and middleweights, but this is a different level. This is a different animal. What I'd like to see at heavyweight is to see Whyte versus Wilder. I think that would be an amazing, intriguing, I should say, fight. We see if it plays out amazingly. But both guys are explosive. Yeah. Both guys need that win, and both guys want to get the title.
Is Wilder even a professional fighter anymore? I mean, where's he gone? I mean, he's like just disappeared after that crazy rant he did where he kind of threw his former trainer, Mark Breland under the bus, and then he started coming up with all kinds of conspiracy theories. Do you think he's in that QAnon group? Does he look like he's weird? I mean, he's just such a weird guy with just the stuff he was saying. I mean, he was so delusional. And now he just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet. I mean, he's like on a spaceship or something.
Well, a lot of people have done that too. And, you know, everyone knows this. I've been following any of my content for a long time that I love Deontay Wilder. I like, you know, his image. I like the way he looks. He looks like a superhero. He looks like a champion. He looks like a guy that carries himself really well.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. Because, I mean, I met him I did a little short interview many years ago. This was right before he fought Bermane Stiverne, and I did a little interview with Bermane Stiverne also. And I mean, those guys' personalities were like night and day. You know, Stiverne was very kind of almost comatose in a way, and Wilder was just a really nice guy. I mean, I saw him. I believe this was the weekend of Floyd Mayweather and Juan Manuel Marquez. I covered that fight, and I believe those two were there to kind of promote their upcoming fight. And I saw them both in the lobby, and they're both very, very nice. They accommodated me very well to do a couple of video interviews, and genuinely, like, I really always liked the guy. But sometimes losing in life, people handle adversity in completely different ways, and it just appears to me he didn't handle adversity in the way that you would expect a great champion like him to do.
That's what I was gonna like definitely go towards, is the fact that, like, you know, with that loss, it could have like offset him entirely. Like, I mean, you know, the guy was invincible. He was knocking everyone out, you know, and he really believed in himself. And I still think he could be a great fighter. I still think he could do great things. We know that he's limited to a certain thing. What's that certain thing? Power. Power is great, especially like I was saying before in the heavyweight division. Power is remarkable. Sometimes people like get a little like, you know, after a loss, after a big setback, it's not easy psychologically. I am not a sports psychiatrist, so I don't know how people deal with that sort of thing. But I mean, from what I know from other athletes, including myself, when you have a setback or anything in life, let's just talk about life in general. Setbacks, you know, you hope they pave a way for a comeback, like the great Evander Holyfield always said. And so, speaking about exhibitions gone wild.
Oh, and okay? I just wanted to actually just bring something up. We got somebody in the chat.
Okay.
So I just want to read a couple of their comments. The ones that are, it's pretty pertinent to what we're talking about right now. But
great.
He thinks Joe Joyce could beat, this is Gator57, thinks Joe Joyce could beat Deontay Wilder right now. What do you think about that one?
You know, the thing about Joe Joyce, I respect his power. I think he's very slow, and I think he's very plodding. I think Wilder is a very explosive, athletic fighter. At the very least, I mean, you know, outside of power, one thing that Deontay possesses is he's very athletic, very agile. Joe Joyce, a little slow. The punch, you know, he's got to snap that punch a lot more. Anything's possible, like I said, in the heavyweight division. But great question, and that's a very intriguing fight.
So yeah, so you were actually about to talk about our boy, this man right here. Give us some information on what's going on with Mr. Oscar De La Hoya. He made an announcement. Go into some detail on that, Mr. Signorella.
Okay, so here's what's up. First of all, if you make a mic drop on stage, you got to make sure that your microphone is actually on. Like, whoever, you know, and I credit Snoop with the Triller thing, what they're doing. I watched the whole press conference and everything, but it's like the only way, Kev, you make a mic drop work is that it actually has to be on so people can hear what you say. So I had to go and like read up on what he said. He said, you know, no opponent yet, but he's coming back sometime, I believe, in June, which I find very interesting. I don't know who he's going to fight. You know, I have certain, you know, suspicions of what he wants. Obviously, I think he wants to kind of jockey for position with Floyd at some point. Could be a YouTuber.
He wants a UFC fighter, or is this going to be a professional fight, or this is another exhibition type deal?
I think it could go either which way, man. It's going to be either a UFC fighter or a YouTuber at first, a professional boxer, especially, you know, that is ranked heavily. You know, like he ain't fighting Virgil Ortiz, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't doing nothing like that, dude. Like, so this is going to be like something where De La Hoya comes back, and like, you know, the whole thing is like it's running wild now.
How about having him fight Dana White? That might be interesting.
That would be really interesting because they have really bad blood.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean,
you see their Twitters
talking so much trash about Oscar De La Hoya. I'm not somebody who gets too much into the boxing gossip part of it, but that just came to my mind. I mean, the amount of trash that he's been talking to Oscar, I think that might be something that a sideshow type of boxing public would be interested in. I'd actually like to watch that one just so I could just see Dana White get punched in the mouth because I'm not a big fan of him anyways.
Do you remember back in the day when Fox had like celebrity boxing? Like, this is where this is going. This is what I'm saying. Exhibition's gone wild. Like the girls gone wild back in the day. Yep. Like we were going to buy these DVDs. We're going to watch it on TV. It's going to be incredible because what happens here is that we have people that talk shit, you know, ad nauseum on Twitter and that have real legit beef. And then they get to show up and fight. Now, some people might be better than others. We got a lot of stuff going on, you know, and the Triller thing is like, you know, it's like, how do you stay away from that? It's juicy. You got MMA fighters against YouTubers, boxers against YouTubers, and vice versa. And who the hell knows what else we got going on. And I think people like that sort of thing, and there's a market for it. At the end of the day, you know, you look at.
And John, you can see the chat questions here, right?
I cannot see them. No, I'm sorry.
There's a tab that says comments so you can see them.
There we go, guys. Hello.
Here. We got another comment from Gator57, and he's asking what boxer is trying to fight Anderson Silva. You saw something about that. I did see something about that. That was Julio Cesar Chavez
yep.
Jr. is going to fight Anderson Silva. That's another exhibition that seems like it's gone a little bit wild also.
Oh, dude, that's my point in general. And I think it's cool when we have crossover things and, you know, it makes for entertainment. And the thing is, I have to say this, I have to give it props. I don't want to shit on this whole thing entirely, is that at least they're fighting. Like, I mean, look at Holyfield. He's jockeying for position to fight Mike Tyson, and he really wants that fight. Holyfield really wants that fight. And we'll see if Mike wants to answer that. And what I think is great is that, you know, at least these guys from yesteryear, and it shows you the difference, like they're willing to compete. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez against, you know, that's a whole nother thing. You know,
is that right there considered a real competition, or is that considered a real professional fight, or is this an exhibition, or did you hear anything about it? I didn't get the impression that this was a real professional prize fight, and especially with Chavez Jr., I mean, he could change the rules at any time. I mean, him and Adrian Broner are the two masters of changing the terms of a fight to benefit them in their favor at the last minute. You know, as far as if they can't make weight, they'll, you know, jump the weight up a few pounds, or they'll change the time of the weigh-in, or try to, you know, run away from you know, drug testers.
Well, I think this is just an ultimate cash grab, you know, the best he could do with what he's got to work with. I mean, Chavez is disappointed a lot of boxing fans over the years, and, you know, maybe he can't get a substantial fight, and things are tough with COVID and no live gate, you know, that's a big thing. So, I mean, getting a name like Anderson Silva, I don't know what rules are going to fight under. Like we have to wait and see. I usually think that boxers usually want to fight under boxing practitioners. Yeah, of course. And I don't blame them because it's tough, but I got to give credit to, you know, mixed martial artists that do decide to step into a boxing ring, because it's a complete different sport. You got a trajectory of eye level that's different. You're looking for different things in boxing, the same way you would do with mixed martial arts. Another one, Kev, I got for you. I don't know if you heard this one yet, and I did some research on it. It looks like it's real. We got another exhibition gone wild over here. Okay, Miguel Cotto versus Juan Manuel Marquez.
I mean, it's to me, that's actually good as like a regular fight, to be honest.
Yes.
I just don't get the point of an exhibition.
Money.
Really. No, I understand the money part. I'm just talking from the entertainment value, like aspect. What is the fan going to get out of it between those two guys? They're not so far removed from professional boxing where you're like, okay, well, we understand it's an exhibition because you've been, you know, like Oscar De La Hoya has been out of the ring for so long. I mean, it's probably takes him a while to put a glove on, like nowadays, you know, even to tie his boxing shoes is probably a little bit more difficult than it used to be. So these guys are not that far removed. But obviously, you know, they're probably pretty comfortable. They don't want to take a whole lot of punishment, but they want to check, like you said. So, it's a business decision. They kind of see everybody is kind of taking the Mike Tyson model. They saw how much money Mike Tyson was able to pull off, and kind of con the public with this whole pay-per-view fiasco with Roy Jones. And I mean, how much did he make? About 20-30 million dollars?
They made some money, bro. And I tell you what, you're exactly correct, Kev, is that when Mike Tyson started posting those videos and looking amazing, and credit to him, like, you know, for doing what he's doing at such a late stage of his life and looking sharp and, you know, everything that he did to earn a payday. It's like now you have a lot of other people like Antonio Tarver wants to come out. My boy Steve Cunningham's fighting Frank Mir coming up soon, and that's a boxer versus a mixed martial artist. And you know, I want to give a big up to Steve Cunningham. You know, great guy. He's got a comic book series that's out right now. Go check him out. Go look him up. And he actually not only writes everything, he also draws and illustrates it, and he's gonna fight. You know, so a lot of these guys, like I was saying, like they're doing a little bit better than fighters. I should say a lot better than fighters from our generation right now. Like, I mean, current generation, I should say, is that, you know, I love myself some Earl Spence. I love myself some Terrence Crawford. I love a lot of these guys that are out there right now, and they have great ability, but they don't fight enough, man. You know, and that's what I need that to change. Like, I want the best to fight the best. The UFC gives us that. You know, we just saw it over the weekend. Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, hell of a performance for Francis Ngannou. And I thought he was going to do, speaking of rematch, we were talking about rematches before between Whyte and Povetkin. Like, this was payback. And they fought their asses off, and I want to see more fighters like Keith, you know, Thurman. Where have you been, man? Like, where's the fighters that have the marquee names that we're starting to build? And I understand people could blame COVID, but at this point in time, man, I think it's more or less the modern generational fighter that just doesn't want to participate. And thank you, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, Steve Cunningham, you know, for coming out and doing these bouts that, you know, are you know, seemingly crazy, but it's I think, awesome.
I think with those is I'm not necessarily too excited about those guys fighting, but I have to admit that some of these guys making these little comebacks has put a little bit more attention on the sport of boxing, because these are fighters that these are Hall of Fame level fighters that people outside of the hardcore boxing fan know about. So most people know who Mike Tyson is. They know Evander Holyfield. They have pretty big profiles. They've been around a long time. Marquez against Cotto, I don't understand that one, but is what it is. It's definitely this whole exhibition concept. Like you say, exhibition's gone wild. It's there's good and positive and negative things about it, but at the very least, you know, it does put some different eyeballs on the sport of boxing. So also this weekend, Saturday coming up, we have a pretty big fight. It's for the WBO super featherweight championship, or 130-pound championship for WBO, between Jamel Herring, he's the champion, and he's fighting former featherweight titleist and I believe 122-pound champion Carl Frampton, who's a pretty good pro. And they're fighting. We have a comment from Gator57, and he says, "Does fighting in Dubai help or hurt Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton?" You have any thoughts on that, John?
Well, traveling is not easy. You got to acclimate. I think the thing is that you have to do is make sure you get there in front of things. I mean, all things are weird nowadays. I mean, even if you're traveling from like New Jersey to fight in California, you don't know what to expect, you know? But that is a great question. Like, there's different elevations. There's different things to consider. I think that once you get in the ring and you have the proper training and mindset to go after your opponent, that you could actually solve the problems of anything that complicates things. So, I mean, with Frampton, I mean, and Jamel, like they both have 2 losses. They both fought, you know, at very high levels against very great opponents. This is like an even fight to me. I can't pick a winner here. If I really had to pick one, I would say it would be Frampton. I like his work ethic. I like the work rate. He throws a lot of punches. He's very consistent. Not that Herring isn't. Herring is very good. He's a champion for a reason. So what's your thoughts, Kev?
I'm going to go with the champion. I think Carl Frampton I've seen some slippage in him. He had that loss against what was the British guy that he lost to recently that just lost the other day? I had a brain fart there.
It's all good. Brain farts are okay. I'm having one right now.
Josh Warrington.
There it is, Josh Warrington.
Yeah, that's who his other loss is.
Yeah.
His first loss was to Leo Santa Cruz.
That's right.
And I thought he got beaten very decisively there in that fight against Josh Warrington. And you saw a month or so ago, Warrington just get completely destroyed by that tough Mexican. I believe Mauricio Lara was his name. So Herring's not the greatest fighter, but I think he's the natural 130-pounder, and he's a boxer. So Frampton has to make it a dogfight, and he's kind of a boxer himself. He's short, he's squat. He does have good speed and skills, but he's getting up there in age. So in that sense, I got to go with Jamel Herring. I think he's going to pull off a decision.
Yeah, I got to agree with you in terms of Herring definitely having a great chance here. For me, it's like both guys don't have much power. Their work ethic is what's going to get them through this fight, in my opinion. I like that Frampton definitely, as they say, Frampton comes alive, like the album is that he knows how to make adjustments, but it should be a very interesting fight, Kev.
Yeah, and just to bring something up, just as a question to you, is this fight on ESPN Plus or is this ESPN? I know this is a top ranked card, but I'm just curious what platform this is going to be on.
That I don't know. I would assume definitely ESPN or ESPN Plus. If it's top rank, it's going in that direction. And by the way, like ESPN has been doing a great job. They've been putting out a lot of fights as much as they can, especially on national television, like the Off the Plus network. And guys, it's like, and I'm not getting paid for this. It's only $4.99 a month, and you get like UFC, you get boxing, you get like everything, documentaries. The original content is incredible. Way worth more than the $5.
Yeah, they definitely put some pretty good. If you watch 2 fight cards a month, you pretty much got your money's worth. Even I'm not a huge MMA fan, but if I'm kind of doing nothing and they have a card on, it's on ESPN Plus. I have Chromecast. I can just cast the UFC or the boxing from my phone to my TV. So it's a great little. If you're somebody who likes to watch boxing, even if you're a casual fan, and you watch boxing once or twice a month, it's definitely worth it's definitely worth the money. So we have another question in the chat. I think we're gonna go here to what we would call the sauce, and
yes,
we would like to kind of make this in the future something where we just talk about random topics. If we have people in the chat, we'll take their questions and whatnot. So we have a comment here. He's saying Gator57 is saying this will be Teofimo versus Loma all over again. Smaller guy, more skilled, just too small. I think that's his opinion in regards to Frampton against Jamel Herring. Do you agree with that comment? Or
I could see that because we see that Frampton is very small. He's like the little engine that can, but he's got, my point with that is that, he throws, he fights with a lot of passion, but he's very small. And that definitely matters. We saw that with Teofimo. That's a great point there, Gator57, is that, when we saw it with Teofimo rather against Loma, we saw that size definitely matters. And Kev, I'm always going to say this every single time I can. I'm going to name drop Pedro. Size matters in fighting and in porn.
Yeah.
And when Pedro said that to me, dude, Pedro Fernandez is like some of the greatest. He'll
make sure he says it any opportunity he gets
every time he can.
Yeah,
and that's what's going on. So to start the sauce, what I want to do, Kev, is I want to talk about what is going on with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They're talking about June something. They were talking earlier in the year, about this fight. And I think personally, it's the Livegate situation. I don't blame these guys. Like, they could get 120,000 people at an arena packed in the UK. Why wouldn't they hold out for that? But as fight fans, we get frustrated. That's the fight everyone wants to see. It's the biggest fight in boxing right now and the biggest fight in British boxing history. Really digest that. If you think about how many asses they put in the seat, how many concessions they sell, how much marketing, how much sponsorship, how much goes on with the two of those guys and all the people, because UK boxing fans, let's face facts, guys, they're the most passionate boxing fans in the world. That's a fight we need to see, but I don't think we get it. I don't think we get it in June.
I'm kind of on the fence there. I think it's gonna happen this year, but I think they'll wait a little bit longer. I think there's still some uncertainty there, and I think that it should be in an area where they can have some fans. I think it should be in the UK if they can make it. And actually, I think that fight might do pretty good in the States. I think they could bring it here, maybe to Las Vegas. Are you listening, people?
Please come to Las Vegas. I would love to watch that fight.
Bring it to
I'd love to be in attendance for that fight.
Bring it to our hometown so we can cover it. So get some good coverage. So it's definitely a fight I'm looking forward to. I just see it. It's going to drag out a little bit. It's going to take a little bit while to get made and get all the financials where they need to be at.
It's all about the financial situation, especially Livegate. Like, people have to understand how much that means, concessions, and these guys always pay out promoters and managers and stuff like that, the fighters. And the potential of this fight, prior to COVID and all that kind of stuff, do you imagine the amount of money that Joshua and Tyson Fury would create, for a lot of people, the economy in general, themselves individually? It's crazy. I think that at best that could be $100 million at least a piece as the fighter take away from all the stuff they have to pay into. So more sauce I got for you. We got a slop fest coming up. Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola. I like this fight, but I don't like that it's on pay-per-view. What's your thoughts, Kev?
It might be entertaining. I think it'll be entertaining for as long as it lasts, but I think I don't see Arreola lasting more than 3 or 4 rounds, to be honest with you. Ruiz is very strong. He's quick, and from what I'm hearing, he's getting himself into shape. And Arreola is just way past his prime, but he's tough as nails. So he'll come to fight, but I think he's going to get knocked out in 3-4 rounds. Because, if Andy Ruiz, he's not a huge puncher, but he can catch you by surprise with his quick combinations. And I think Arreola has never been known for having great defense. He's known historically to have a pretty decent chin. He did take a lot of punches against Adam Kownacki, but Kownacki is not a huge puncher. And Ruiz is just a big, big, strong guy. And I think he is just going to run right through Arreola
if he shows up. But what I love about it is that it's an absolute slop fest in terms of we got 2 guys that don't really look the part, but they could fight. Yeah. Both guys, I'm not fat shaming. They could fight. And I told anyone that would listen the first time Andy Ruiz went in there against Anthony Joshua, I'm like, listen, this guy has a chance. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. This guy has a legit opportunity to take this man out. He's fast. Like you said, he's got great hand speed. Not super powerful, but if you put punches in combination together, as we saw there. So I got more sauce for you. All right. Where the hell is Usyk?
Oh, Alexander Usyk?
Yes. This is the where are you now? Have you seen me lately? We'll call this the back of the milk bottle section of the show. Where the hell is he?
Oh, Usyk. Man. He's just waiting on a title shot. I think what he's waiting on is to see if one of these belts gets stripped, or I believe he was him and Joe Joyce were in a negotiation for a fight. I don't know what's come of that so far. From what I understand, Joe Joyce appears to be asking for too much money. Either that or Usyk believes he's worth more. So I mean, it's kind of can go both ways in that sense. So
the world of
but
boxing.
to be honest with you, as far as Usyk, I mean, he's an afterthought to me. I mean, he's not an entertaining fighter for the most part. And I just don't see him as a natural heavyweight, that's somebody that's going to make a whole lot of noise in the division. I think he's going to be a good contender. And when he moves up and fights one of the top guys, I could see him either struggling or getting beat. That's just my personal opinion. I even thought that fight he had at cruiserweight with Maris Bradis, I thought that was an extremely close fight that could have went either way. I kind of thought Bradis beat him, to be honest with you, but I wasn't going to complain about him getting the decision. It was definitely like I believe he won by majority decision. So obviously the judges thought it was a close fight.
I think the next time we roll out a show, we got to do something called like the back of the milk carton, where it's like, have you seen me? Like we would have like missing people. So what I think we got to do.
But he hasn't been that inactive. I mean, you have to.
No, I get it. I get it.
With the pandemic and everything, I just think with Usyk, out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, that's my point.
He's not somebody who's you're going to see him talking on Twitter or whatnot. He's not. Mm-mm. He's not like a very charismatic fighter. And I mean, obviously, he's from Ukraine, so I don't know how well his English is or how he communicates with his fans over here in the United States. So we have another comment from from Gator 57.
Gator 57, come on anytime, brother.
This was an interesting comment. That's wanted you to give your thoughts just real quick on it. Jacobs or Lemieux, yeah, they did used to be pretty good. What happened to those guys?
Do you know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm making. That's why we got to do the whole
card, right? Yeah.
I'm telling you, like for our next show, I think Kev, like, obviously we're going to review the Frampton, and Herring fight coming up this weekend afterwards. But I think we should do a whole segment dedicated to like where are you now? Like I'm going to call it again, the back of the milk carton missing. Have you seen me? Like there's so many fighters that we could think about ad nauseum that they should be fighting. Or I understand COVID or whatever, but address the public. Like, you said certain people aren't like that. Like Usyk's not that guy. But then again, if you see him on television, he plays up to the camera just fine. You know, like he's always playing up to his crazy eyes and his crazy smile. And like, it seems like he likes to have fun with media. I'd like to know what's going on with some of these guys.
He doesn't seem to be somebody who's, plastering himself all over social media like some of these other guys. And I actually, just to change the subject real quickly, before we end the show,
sure.
Gervonta Davis, you heard about him, right? All these this
mess
vehicle hit and run accident. He injured a few people, and I don't know all the details on it yet. But he was, I believe, arrested and arraigned on it. So, and there's multiple charges where could be a good amount of jail time for him. But
I'm hearing up to 12 years that if he's convicted. So, I mean,
but that's if they rack him up on all the charges. But this is just kind of another instance of a fighter you see, like a really good upcoming young fighter that is just self-destructing before our eyes. And I really just and the thing is he's got a good personality. He comes from a very rough upbringing, and he's an extremely exciting fighter. I mean,
excellent fighter.
And there's so many great matchups you can make with him. Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, even Vasily Lomachenko, Devin Haney. Those are the guys that everybody's talking about right now at 135 pounds. Or right around 130, 135. And for this to kind of slow up some of the momentum he had from that vicious knockout of Leo Santa Cruz, it's really be a shame if he does jail time here.
He's one hell of a fighter. We'd hate to see his career fall apart. I think most importantly for Davis right now, he's a young man. He could reform, regroup. Hopefully he doesn't have to do all the particulars, like you were saying, are still being all ironed out. Like we don't really know exactly. I mean, we have an idea and it's terrible. I just want him to focus on boxing and focus on his life. I know he comes from a crazy upbringing but I think he's a tremendous fighter. I think Gervonta Davis is an excellent fighter and he has so much potential. So I don't want to see him burn out, way too soon.
I think we kind of talked about this on a previous show. About Teofimo Lopez kind of getting out of Brooklyn, I believe, where he's from, and he's in Arkansas now. I think that's what this guy needs to do. He needs to get out of the area where he grew up and move to possibly Las Vegas, and be somewhere. I mean, Vegas obviously has its kind of craziness within itself, like me and you both know, you can get yourself into trouble out here also.
Easily.
But at the same time, this is a boxing city in a way, and it gets him away from some of the people that he's probably associating himself with over there. That's maybe making him be a little bit reckless with his behavior. So that's just something to think about. But
absolutely,
he's a great fighter. Here in the chat makes a good point. He says Mayweather will get him the best lawyer for sure. He's too much of a cash cow. So
this is very true.
Definitely agree with him there. So
anyways, very true. And we want to see Davis and everybody just stay on a straight and narrow and do good. Like we love boxing and these guys are great fighters. Gervonta Davis has all the potential in the world to be an amazing world champion time and time again, maybe multiple weight divisions. Like the kid's got the sky is the limit for this guy. So we hope that he gets around the right people that help him out. And we have a lot of that, Kevin, boxing right now. That again, that's why next week when we do a show, it's going to be all about, I'm going to make a milk carton and I'm going to put faces of fighters on every milk carton I have. So I'm going to have cutouts where I put someone's face on and have you seen me missing, and we break them down, and then have you seen me missing, and then we break them down. That's pretty much, I think that'll be a great time, a great segment.
And there's probably some people that are going to be on those milk cartons that we actually don't want to see again.
Okay, so that's a great point. So I have two milk cartons. The one missing, have you seen me? Do you want to see me? And then missing, have you seen me? Do you not want to see me? That'll be amazing. And this was always it's amazing as always, Kev. I love you, brother. So let's wrap this bad boy up, man. All right, so where can you follow us? Everywhere. We're on everything over here. All right, so you can check us out on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon. The list goes on and on.
Because you're getting dizzy. You're getting me dizzy with all those platforms that we're on. Most of these a lot of these platforms are audio. Some are video. Definitely, we would love you guys to. We're going to try to make this more consistent in the future and kind of get scheduled out a time every week where we do the show, so we can get some more people in the chat. And kind of make this like a family affair with a lot of just, the boxing fans that we love out there. So I kind of like this time, 2:45 on a Tuesday. Hopefully we can try to swing this every week at this time. We both have busy lifestyles and stuff. But definitely this is a great show. We had a couple people in the chat today.
Thank you, guys.
So we definitely look forward to you guys coming back for the next show.
Yeah, I'll post the links out there on my Twitter. It's at Boxing Music John. I think that's I'm terrible at this sort of thing, but
we'll definitely make sure we get this on delay up to the various Facebook groups and whatnot.
I don't even know my own shit.
Be on Johnny Signorella's his different streaming
the
platform.
YouTube streaming,
and also on the Platinum Fights YouTube page. Tons of boxing fights on there. That's my boxing YouTube page where you can find all the Kayonation shows on delay. So hope to see you next Tuesday, 2:45.